Number 1. Kidney beans, the everyday workhorse. A single cooked cup gives you about 15 grams of protein and 13 grams of fiber for roughly 40 cents, which is protein at a price nothing in the meat aisle can touch. They are the mature seed of the common bean, the same plant that gives us green beans, left on the vine until the pod dries. Central and South America grew them for thousands of years before they ever reached a European kitchen. If your grocery bill has quietly outgrown your pension and meat has become something you ration rather than eat, this is the food that solves it without asking you to eat less. After 50, the goal is a solid block of protein at each meal, not one big serving at dinner, because an aging body is slower to turn food into muscle and needs a fresh nudge every few hours. A cup of kidney beans at lunch is exactly that nudge, at a price you will not notice. The fiber in kidney beans is largely the soluble kind, which slows how fast sugar enters your blood and feeds the bacteria in your lower gut. Reviews of legume studies have consistently linked regular bean eaters with healthier cholesterol numbers and steadier blood sugar, and the effect shows up at ordinary portions, not heroic ones. They also carry a useful amount of iron and folate, and much of the tiredness we blame on age is quietly low iron. One warning that matters. Raw and undercooked kidney beans contain a compound that will make you genuinely ill, so soak them overnight, drain that water away, and boil them hard for at least 10 minutes before simmering. Tinned kidney beans have already been through this and are perfectly safe straight from the tin, which is why they cost more. A 1-pound bag runs about $1.50 and makes 6 generous cups. But the next bean on this list is even cheaper, and it turns creamy in a way this one never will. Number 2. Pinto Beans, the creamy one. A cooked cup carries about 15 grams of protein and 15 grams of fiber, and dried pintos are usually the cheapest bean in the shop at around $1.20 a pound. The name means painted in Spanish, for the reddish speckles that vanish the moment they hit hot water. They have been the backbone of Mexican and American Southwestern cooking for centuries. If chewing has become work, if dentures make steak a negotiation, or if rich food sits heavily in the evening, pintos are the gentlest protein on this entire list. They break down into something close to a savory custard, which means you can get 15 grams of protein into someone whose appetite has shrunk to almost nothing. That matters enormously, because appetite loss after 70 is one of the quiet drivers of frailty. When beans are cooked and then cooled, some of their starch reorganizes into what researchers call resistant starch, which behaves less like a carbohydrate and more like a fiber. It travels intact to your colon and becomes food for the bacteria that produce butyrate, the short-chain fat your gut lining runs on. Pintos are unusually rich in it, and reheating them does not undo the effect. Cook a pound of soaked pintos with an onion and a bay leaf for about 90 minutes, then mash half the pot against the side with a spoon and let it thicken. Refrigerate what you do not eat, and the resistant starch actually increases overnight. They grow easily in any sunny bed as a bush bean and need no support at all, which is more than can be said for the pole varieties. The next one is the bean that made itself famous in a tin. Number 3. Navy beans, the tinned classic. A cooked cup delivers about 15 grams of protein and an extraordinary 19 grams of fiber, the highest of any common bean, for about 35 cents. They earned the name by feeding the United States Navy through the 19th century because they kept for years and cooked down into something sailors would actually eat. Every tin of baked beans you have ever opened was built on this bean. If your digestion has slowed, if you find yourself relying on something from the chemist to stay regular, this is the bean to reach for first. 19 grams of fiber is most of a day's requirement in one bowl, and it arrives with protein rather than instead of it. Gut transit genuinely slows with age, and the fix is almost never a supplement when a food will do it better and cheaper. Navy beans are especially high in soluble fiber, which binds bile acids in your intestine and forces your liver to pull cholesterol out of circulation to make more. Trials feeding people about a cup of beans daily have repeatedly shown modest but real drops in LDL cholesterol over several weeks. They also carry folate, magnesium, and a solid dose of potassium, which works quietly against the sodium in everything else we eat. Simmer soaked navy beans for about an hour with a bay leaf and a splash of cider vinegar added at the very end, never at the start, because acid added early keeps beans stubbornly hard. Tinned navy beans cost under $1 and need only rinsing. They are compact bush plants that crop heavily in a small bed. Right after this, a bean so large and so different that most people do not believe it belongs in the same family. Number 4. Lima Beans, also sold as butter beans, the misjudged giant. A cooked cup gives you about 15 grams of protein and nearly 1,000 milligrams of potassium, which is more than 2 bananas. They are named for Lima in Peru, where they were being farmed as far back as 6,000 years ago, and they arrived in North America on Spanish ships. Almost everyone who says they hate them last ate them boiled to death in a school canteen. If your blood pressure reading has crept upward at every appointment, potassium is the mineral your body uses to push back against sodium, and most people over 50 get nowhere near enough of it. Lima beans deliver it in a form your body handles slowly and safely alongside the protein you need for muscle. It is the rare case where the same spoonful serves 2 entirely separate problems. The potassium and magnesium in Lima beans both work on the walls of your blood vessels, helping them relax rather than tighten. Population studies consistently find that people eating the most legumes tend to have lower blood pressure than those eating the least, though diet studies can never fully separate one food from a whole way of eating. What is not in doubt is the mineral content itself, which is measurable and generous. Skip boiling them plain. Warm, cooked butter beans in good olive oil with lemon, garlic, and plenty of parsley, and they become something entirely different, soft and buttery as the name promises. Tinned butter beans cost about $1 and need no cooking at all. In the garden, they need a warm, long season and a support to climb. The next bean is the one Italian grandmothers reach for when they want a soup to hold together. Number 5. Great Northern Beans, the quiet backbone. A cooked cup carries around 15 grams of protein, 12 grams of fiber, and a substantial dose of calcium for roughly 40 cents. They sit between the small navy bean and the large cannellini in size, holding their shape better than the first and cooking faster than the second. American growers in the northern plains gave them the name, though the bean itself descends from the same Central American ancestor as almost everything on this list. If you are cooking for 1 or 2 and most recipes seem written for a family of 6, this is the most forgiving bean there is. It absorbs whatever you put with it. It does not collapse if you leave it 5 minutes too long, and it reheats without turning to paste. Cooking for yourself gets harder as the years pass, and a food that tolerates inattention is worth more than one that demands precision. Beans are not the first food anyone thinks of for bone, but Great Northerns supply calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus together, and bone is built from all 3 rather than calcium alone. They also deliver protein, and roughly half the volume of your bones is protein by weight. Research on older adults has repeatedly found that low protein intake tracks with faster bone loss, which makes a bean that carries both minerals and protein unusually useful. Simmer them for around 90 minutes with rosemary and a whole clove of garlic, then add greens in the last 10 minutes for a soup that costs pennies a bowl. Dried, they run about $1.30 a pound. They are reliable bush plants that tolerate cooler summers than most beans will. The next bean looks almost identical but behaves completely differently in a pan. Number 6. Cannellini Beans, the Italian standard. A cooked cup carries about 17 grams of protein, putting it within a whisker of lentils, along with 11 grams of fiber and a great deal of iron. They are a white kidney bean, larger and firmer than a Great Northern, and Tuscany has built entire dishes around them for centuries. Italians are sometimes called bean eaters by the rest of the country, and this is the bean they mean. If you tire by mid-afternoon, feel colder than everyone else in the room, or notice you are short of breath climbing a slope you used to manage, low iron is worth ruling out. Cannellini beans carry a meaningful amount of it, and after 50, your stomach produces less acid, which makes iron harder to extract from food. Pairing them with something sharp changes that considerably. The iron in beans is the non-heme form, which your body absorbs less readily than the iron in meat, but vitamin C dramatically improves the uptake. Studies of plant iron absorption have shown that adding a vitamin C source alongside the meal can multiply how much you actually take in. This is why a squeeze of lemon over beans, or a tomato in the pot, is not a garnish, but a genuine nutritional decision. Dress warm cannellini beans with lemon juice, olive oil, and chopped tomato, and eat them as a salad rather than a soup. Tinned, they are about $1.10 and hold their shape well enough to serve cold. They need a long, warm season to grow at home, so most people are better off buying them dried at around $1.80 a pound. The next bean is the one that looks like it has been painted and it hides its color the moment it is cooked.